There you go.
Yeah, right. If you have access to another device, or even if you can kind of toggle between the two and want to check in on social media, our message today is taking 8 steps toward enlightenment. Taking 8 steps toward enlightenment at Unity of Joplin. And we're so glad you're here with us to do that. Right now, though,
I'm
let's
trying. There we go. I'm trying to advance the slides. They weren't advancing.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. Taking 8 steps toward enlightenment at Unity of Joplin. And we will prepare for that by singing our gathering song, so appropriate, A World Awakening.
Oh, hang on. I got to share. Got to make sure I'm sharing computer sound. Bear with me, folks. Yes, we are. You ready?
Ready.
No more fighting, hearts uniting, all one people, all one dream. Hate is dying, love is rising, on a world awakening. Children of one God, one planet, let the earth and heaven sing. Join the angels' joy, strings of for a world awakening. Oh, for a world awakening. Oh, for a world awakening. One day all the world is watching. Time weaves us a common theme. Peace our anthem. All are welcome to a world awakening. Oh, for a world awakening. Oh, for a world awakening. New ideas and new beginnings, that's what each tomorrow brings. Freely giving, we are living in a world awakening.
That was beautiful. Thank you to our music team. We say it every week, but we mean it every week. We are so blessed by the gifts of their talents and voices in so many ways. Gary and Jerry, we love you. We miss seeing you in person, but we love hearing you each week. John, excellence as always. Such a blessing. And Michael, I don't know, when I think about you guys recording this session, I just see you like the TV reporter running around from person to person and helping it blend so beautifully. We are grateful. It's some new sounds coming later in the service with Ito and Joe. I'm not familiar with them, but I know I'm going to love it. We have in the chat today on Facebook our trustee of the day and the president of our board of trustees, Jefferson Myers. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate you taking care of us. And if you'd like to assume your first duty and share that link for our tithes and love offerings, we are going to be moving into that very soon. I'm Anne, I'm the platform assistant today, and Gordon, of course, will be doing our meditation and our lesson. And we're eager to hear your words, Gordon. Always a blessing. So if you would, go ahead and take those gifts into your hands. Symbolically, physically, it's all good. This is our opportunity to give thanks for these wonderful teachings, this opportunity to still be together in this time of semi-quarantine, and to share our expression of that gratitude. And we do that in the form of our tithes and love offerings. And you just saw on the screen, there is a donate button on the website. And we've switched to a new service. There's a little drop-down menu. And today you will want to choose the general fund tab there so that we can credit your gifts accordingly. All right, so let's just hold on to those and affirm together. In a universe overflowing with the allness of God, all of the needs of the unity of Joplin and those we serve are bountifully met from every direction, known and unknown, expected and unexpected. Our abundant good is here now. And we say, thank you, God. And we just know that these tithes and offerings are dedicated to the will and work of Spirit through Unity of Joplin and for the highest good of all. And we are so grateful. Thank you. Thank you for believing in us and sharing with us in this way. We are working through some of the spiritual tools with Gordon's nightly check-ins at 8 o'clock. Just a little dose of added inspiration to get you through these changing times. That's 8 o'clock here on our Facebook page. Every night, yes.
I would like to add that starting tomorrow, we will also be on Zoom. So you can catch us on either Zoom or Facebook. If you want to watch it on Zoom, please send us an email, and we will have the link on our Facebook page as well. So you can do either one. If you're on Zoom, you can participate in real time, and on Facebook, of course, you can watch and chat, but we won't be able to see or hear you.
Yeah. Okay. We're just getting better and better at this. So many options. So every night except Sunday nights at 8 o'clock via Zoom or Facebook. Yeah, check in. And don't worry if you can't be there right at 8, because there is a replay available on Facebook. Yeah. And those little nuggets that you're coming up with, they really do help, Gordon. So
well, good. Keep
up the good work. Let's see, we've talked about it. It's coming. I can't wait to hear a date.
We're going to finish up the class we're doing right now and then take a 2-week break, and then we'll start.
Okay. So more towards the end of June, this class, Mystics of the Middle Ages and How They Influence Modern New Thought. Amazing. And no matter where we are, when we get back into the church or when we don't, we will still be offering the classes online as well. So no need to feel that you're missing out. You can sign up and participate that way. And we're excited about it. Speaking of Zoom and Facebook and all of that, you're free to hang out with us after the service today for a little fellowship. If you have any questions of Gordon or just a comment to make about today's service, feel free to do that. We would love to hang out with you too. So that's right after the service. But now we're going to prepare for today's message with the daily word. And Michael will be sharing that with us now.
Before we begin, you did hit record, right?
Did I?
Yeah.
I didn't. No.
Would you please?
Yes, be happy to.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Today's daily word is guidance. Thank you, God, for your enlightening spirit, now revealing right answers. Is there a need for guidance, for direction? Right now, the enlightening Spirit of God indwells you and everyone whom you would bless, and reveals right answers for every need. Guidance can and does come in many different forms and through many different channels. The forms guidance takes are as varied as the individuals seeking it. But one thing remains steadfast, the enlightening Spirit of God within us, ever waiting to lead us in the right direction. We can rely on this Spirit in any confusing situation, in any tangled relationship, in any darkness. Always this Spirit indwells us. Always we have access to divine guidance. In prayer, we make of ourselves channels through which this Spirit of God pours his love and wisdom, and we become aware of new paths and new possibilities before us. It is the Spirit in man that makes him understand. Job 32:8.
Thank you.
And now let's sing our second song, which is the Song of the Universe.
The universe sings, I am, I am. The universe rings, I am, I am. The universe brings through each animal cell a song of its own. It's singing, I am. Every star in the sky is singing, I am. Every bird winging by is singing, I am. Every woman and man, everything in God's plan has a song of its own. I am, I am. Let's start singing it too. I am, I am. Let the birds give the cue. I am, I am. Since I know who I am, then I know that I can sing the universe song. I am, I am.
And that is the Song of the Universe. I am. So today I invite you to get comfortable, close your eyes, take a breath, and align yourself with the song of the universe as we prepare for the meditation. And know that we will, at the end of the meditation, have a musical chanting experience with Ito and Joe. But before we do that, we prepare by bringing into our heart center that vibration of I am. Breathing, we know there is no such thing as separation, that we are a part of creation itself. Creation that sings through me. I am. I am light. I am wisdom. I am love. I am vibration. I am. I am vibration. I raise my vibration to a higher frequency anytime I turn within in prayer and meditation and contemplation. Anytime I stop and breathe. And in that higher vibration, I create the world I desire, the life I desire. Higher vibration lifts me above the mundane experience of life to a full experience of life. In this higher vibration, I am above illness. I am above chaos. I am above negativity. I am above dense human consciousness. In higher vibration, I see things right. I see things the way that God sees things. I look about me and I behold divine order, health, perfect creation. I am surrounded by abundance. I move out of the kingdom of earth and into the kingdom of heaven, which is always right at hand in a higher vibration. I am aligned with the frequency of creation itself. I rise, I ascend, I view from on high. I am. I am the very vibration that God is. I rest now in perfect peace, in perfect vibration, in the kingdom of heaven energy. I rest. In this higher place, there is new meaning to the words. You are light. I realize I am light. My burden is light. For this is what Jesus meant when he said, "Take on my burden, for it is light." And I know that I may rise to this higher frequency anytime I choose, simply by becoming still, by breathing, by centering. And that ended rather abruptly. But that was a Buddhist chant, and it tried to go again. So that was a chant from the Buddhist tradition, Om Gam Namaye Pattaya. One that is done frequently in kirtans. And it is a prayer. And we'll talk more about what the meanings are a little later. But today we continue our series on the evolution of spirituality. And we delve into the journey of Buddhism. So to begin, let's give a little bit of history of Buddhism. Many people believe erroneously that it was started by Siddhartha Gautama many years before Jesus. And I would say the reason I say erroneously is because it's not a religion. It's a philosophy. There are people who practice it kind of like a religion, but Buddhism is not a religion. It is a belief system, a system of practice that really is universal and can be applied in any religion. We'll talk more about that a little later as well. But it was founded or created, if you will, or uncovered by a man named Siddhartha Gautama. And we used to think he was from the 6th century BCE. We've now kind of nailed his life down a little closer. So most scholars are saying he lived from 480 BCE to 400 BCE. So roughly 400 years before Jesus. He was born on the Nepalese-India border. And his father, he was a wealthy man. His father was King Suddhodana. And I am going to share my screen with you here. Maybe. My controls have gone away once again. This is the one thing about this I really wish we could figure out. And now I don't even have my Zoom screen. Am I still on?
You are.
Okay. And are you seeing me or the slides?
Just you.
Where is my toolbar? Let me try this. Well, all right, we will have to do it without slides. Meditation technology is so much fun. This is weird. I have like no controls, nothing. Let's see if I can, okay, wait a minute. Maybe I got them back. Yes, I got them back. Yay. All right, gang, bear with me here. There. Okay. So are we looking at slides or what? And somebody?
Yes, we are.
Thank you. All right. Back to our story. His father was King Suddhodana, and his mother was named Queen Maya. And the story of the Buddha's birth is so similar to the story of Jesus' birth in many ways, and even right down to the mother's conception. Queen Maya had a dream one night that a giant white elephant came to her down out of the heavens with 6 white tusks and stabbed her in the side with one of his tusks. 9 months later, Siddhartha was born. Similar to Mary, Jesus' mother, having a dream that the angel Gabriel came to her and stabbed her in the side with his sword. And 9 months later, Jesus was born. But anyway, when his mother became pregnant, she got up and left the castle where they lived and proceeded to across the kingdom to her father's kingdom, which was tradition. It was always traditional to give birth to a child in your father's kingdom. She traveled by elephant through the wilderness. And on the way, the time came for her to give birth before she got there, and she gave birth to the Buddha underneath a Lumbini tree in the Lumbini province. So another parallel to the birth of Jesus. And there are pictures that show, the crowd surrounding mostly females in this case, because Buddhism is a non-patriarchal religion or practice. But we have the same kind of visual imagery of the crowd surrounding the mother with the baby. Not much is known of the Buddha's childhood. It is known that he did study the Vedas, meditation, philosophy, and that he was very privileged. Grew up in a palace. He was Hindu, and he was most likely educated in the Shramanana schools, which were the highest schools of learning on the subcontinent in India, Nepal, and Tibet in those days. And there is a story that is related from his childhood of when he was 13 and was found debating with his elders and with scholars from other schools in the region. And his debating was so wise that he was considered wise beyond his years. Another similarity to Jesus. Beyond those several accounts, there are no records of the earliest of his childhood at all. We do know that as a young adult, as a late teens, early 20s, he became an ascetic. This happened when one day came and he left the palace. And he walked out into the village and for the first time really looked at the way his people, his father's people in particular, were living. They were living in squalor. They were living in lack. And it touched him at the depth of his soul. And he renounced his birthright as the future king of the kingdom and became an ascetic and renounced all worldly possession and lived that way for quite some time. And in that process, he became very skinny. Now, I know many times when we think of the Buddha you see on the right there, the fat, jolly, happy Buddha. That was not the Buddha. That was a Buddha. That was a Buddha named Hoti, and he was a Chinese monk who wouldn't live for another 600-700 years after Siddhartha. But he became a Buddha, and he became a Buddha that represented joy and prosperity. So if you want prosperity in your house and you want to have a statue of a Buddha, this would be the one you would put in your prosperity corner. The Gautama, the Buddha, is the one on the left. And he did eventually renounce asceticism. And he discovered that way did not lead any more to enlightenment than abundance by itself led to enlightenment. And he began to explore and develop a practice that he called the middle way. And the middle way is about balance. It is not about acquisition. It is not about loss or relinquishing of all material goods. It is the middle way. And through this, he began to develop the philosophy that became Buddhism. He realized that suffering does not need to be the life experience, but oftentimes suffering is the life experience. So how did he say we get out of this cycle of suffering? The first step in this path is to look at the four noble truths that he developed. He said there were four noble truths about life, that the nature of life is the nature of suffering, or dukkha. And this is the consciousness that too many people lived in those days and too many people live in today. And that is that we are here to suffer. You know, in traditional Christianity, there is this idea that life is about suffering so that we can become purified for a better life in the beyond. That was not the teaching of Jesus. It is not the teaching of the Buddha. The Buddha took a look at this and said, okay, so what causes suffering? What is the origin of the chanha of suffering? And he realized that suffering is caused by desire. We are always wanting something more. And wanting something more that is better is okay. But wanting something more that we think will serve us on our spiritual path. Maybe the new car, the better house, the more money in the bank. That is attachment to the world, which causes dukkha, the nature of suffering. So when we begin to understand that suffering is caused by misaligned desire, we begin to realize that the possibility of the cessation of suffering, the possibility of a cure for this illness that we are experiencing in our humanness, can be overcome. It's kind of like the first step in 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, or any 12-step program, when we realize that we are powerless, that we are suffering, and we realize that a different way of being is possible. So then we move into the fourth noble truth, and that is, there is a path leading to the cessation of suffering. So the Buddha realized these four truths: that most human beings are suffering, that there is a way out of the suffering, and the suffering has an origin. And if it has an origin, it also has an end. That has a path, and it does serve a purpose. It serves a purpose to push us onto the path of enlightenment. Jesus called this path the Eightfold Path. It consists of 8 principles. Those principles are: there is right view, right aspiration, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. We're going to look at each and every one of these more in depth. The first, right view. What is right view? Well, the right view is that nothing is ever lost through death or destruction. There is only transformation. Now, we're not talking necessarily about physical human death at this point. We are talking about the destruction and the death of ideas, of situations, of experiences, of life itself. And so when we begin to understand this, we realize that this death, this transformation, is not something to be avoided. It is something to be sought after. We should seek after new ideas. We should seek after new understanding, new growth, new awakening, as we sing in our first song, A World Awakening. It's something to be engaged. It's something to be desired, because transformation, listen to that word, transformation. It's what a butterfly does when it goes into the chrysalis, when the caterpillar goes into the chrysalis. Have you ever thought about what happens to that caterpillar? If you were to cut it open, it would be goo. It doesn't even have form. It's formless for a time. But out of that formlessness arises the butterfly. It's a process. So right view means we are looking for transformation experiences. And I'll tell you a little secret I have discovered through the years. When we actively seek those experiences, it's not painful to enter into them. But when we are resisting them and trying to avoid them and trying to keep things just the way they are because they are so perfect, when those transformation experiences come to us, and they do come, they're painful because we resist. And resistance always causes pain. But when we seek them with consciousness, when our eyes are open, we find that we can enter into those experiences peacefully, with ease and grace. So the second part of the Eightfold Noble Path is right resolve. Right resolve. Right, in unity, we would call this renunciation. We resolve to let go. We have non-attachment. Now, I got to stop here and explain this concept of non-attachment, because it's very misunderstood in the West. we do not deny what is. And non-attachment is also not the same thing as non-action. There's this idea, and I've had more than one person come to me and say, well, the problem I have with Buddhism is that they're always praying, always meditating, but they don't ever do anything. And that is not the truth of Buddhism. It is not the practice of Buddhism. We in the West are used to seeing movies where we see monks sitting and chanting, and we think that's all they do. No, it's not. A very, very large part of being a Buddhist monk is service. So what the non-attachment is about the idea of this or something better, God. Non-attachment, a Buddhist says, I am going to meditate to get clarity on what is mine to do. And then I am going to get up and do it with a vision of what I am working towards. And at the same time, knowing that what I am working towards is actually greater than my vision. So what my vision does, my vision gives me a goal to shoot for. It gives me a target. But my non-attachment knows that what I will hit will be greater than the target I see. That's what right resolve is, to resolve to move forward, to resolve to unfold, to resolve to be of service, to resolve to lift up those around me without being attached to what that will ultimately look like, to trusting that the universe is in charge. And if I do my part, if I have my vision, but without being attached to my vision, the right outworking will manifest. This right resolve part of the path also means I release false ideas about what is, what will be, what I am. I release any ill will, which sometimes is kind of hard to do. I release cruelty. You know, a Buddhist doesn't even swat insects. I haven't quite gotten that far with chiggers and ticks and things like that yet. The right resolve means I release hatred, which is an ongoing process. This very much involves the process of forgiveness as well. And it involves right useness, releasing righteousness to embrace right useness of my abilities, my talents, and my powers. So that is right resolve. Right speech, or it's also right intention. Right speech, well, that one's kind of easy for us in Unity. That is our positive way of speaking, our positive way of praying, affirmative prayer. That is speaking into existence what we know is on the plane of higher consciousness. So right speech for us in Unity is easy. Right conduct is fairly easy. It should be intuitive, right conduct. We would call it ethical behavior, intentional behavior. But then we move to another one that we're going to dwell on a little bit deeper, right effort or right livelihood. You know, in Christianity, there's this idea that has been prevalent for so many centuries of it is better to be poor because Jesus was poor. Well, we know Jesus was not poor. And that is not a Buddhist teaching either. There's also this consciousness of, well, you know, I just live in a poor area. We're poor but proud. Oy, that one drives me nuts. But I think we had a discussion about that Thursday night in the prosperity class or in somewhere where we were having a discussion. Poverty is not what this is about. Right livelihood means my material good comes to me through living and practicing what my soul calls me to do. The Buddha said this in modern terms, I'm going to put it, it is okay to have. but not okay to own. Do you hear the difference? It is okay to have, but not okay to own. That's kind of a powerful concept when you think about it. Okay to have, not okay to own. It's a very Native American principle. You know, people say, well, the Native Americans didn't own anything. No, they didn't. They did have possessions. They had everything they needed. And they had personal possessions as well. But they didn't own. In other words, they were not attached. Oh, there's an important word, attachment. Remember, Buddhist tradition tells us that attachment is not necessarily good. It is okay to have. It is okay to appreciate beautiful things. It is okay to wear nice clothes or maybe drive a good car that's not leaving pieces of itself on the road, because that would be very non-Buddhist. That would be polluting the earth. As long as we are not attached to that. It's very similar to the story that Jesus told the young man, you know, go and sell your possessions so that you can follow me. But he didn't tell everybody to do that. Just someone who was attached to their possessions. So that is attachment. That is kind of what I guess we would call being in the world, but not of the world. It's also not being greedy, not laying up treasures here on earth so that we can have something in an afterlife. Buddhism is very much about the here and now. Unity is very much about the here and now. Jesus' teachings were all about the here and the now. How do we live this life? Don't worry about the afterlife. It will take care of itself. You're going to get there no matter what, and it's not going to be hell. By the way, in Buddhism, there is no concept of heaven or hell. It's all about how we live in the moment, whether that moment is in this form or some other form. So it's also, right, livelihood is also about doing what you came here to do, doing what your soul came here to do, doing what your gift is. You know, in my lifetime, I have had many incarnations in one lifetime. I was a material handling specialist, and I loved it. It fed me in that time. I worked on the cutting edge of technology, and it was so much fun. But there came a time when it was like, I have given to this all that I have to give, and it has given to me all that it has to give, so that I can move on to my next experience. And my next incarnation in this life was as a school teacher. And I loved it. And I was good at it. I'm not ashamed to say that. And it fed me, and I fed my students. And it gave me all that it could give me, and I gave it all that I could give it to prepare me for my incarnation I am in now, which is as a minister, which still involves very much being a teacher. And it involves very much at this point in time, a lot of technology. So we see that when we are following our spiritual path, it aligns with our material path, our physical path, our earthly path, our human path. But we have to be conscious. We have to be aware of what that right livelihood is that we are called to be. Which leads us to the next part of the Eightfold Path, which is right effort. Right effort. Right effort doesn't have to do with physical effort as much as it has to do with mental effort. It has to do with thought. Right effort in unity is the law of mind action. It is dwelling, it is working with the law of mind action. In Buddhism, they say what we dwell on, we become. We talk about this a lot in what we see in social media. We can see it, we acknowledge it. A Buddha does not deny what other people are going through. A Buddha recognizes that people are suffering. In unity, we recognize that there is work to be done for us, for the world, for those around us. But what this is about is not being attached to the world of appearance, to the world of illusion, we say in Buddhism. And illusion is the non-reality that most of humanity is experiencing. For them, it is real. If you're in that non-reality, it's real. But we know it is not the reality of the divine. And so what our purpose is to dwell on the reality of divine while being of service for those who are not dwelling on the reality of the divine, so that we can help them rise up. The Christ said to Jesus, through Jesus, if I am lifted up, I draw all others with me. So what Jesus was saying, what the Christ was speaking through Jesus in that moment was, raise your consciousness, dwell on the divine, dwell on what is real, and you raise the consciousness of those around you. And of course, there has to be action as well. Right? Concentration also engages the practice of meditation, which is a huge part of Buddhism and a huge part of unity practice as well. So those are, that's the Eightfold Path. And just to recap a little bit, we have the Four Noble Truths. And to put it into simpler terms, the Four Noble Truths are when we say, oh, this is pain. This is the origin of pain. This is how I end the pain. And these are the steps I take to end that pain. And then the Eightfold Noble Path are the steps we take to end the pain. So those are really the core principles of Buddhism. And there's many other things that come out of that, but that's the core. That is really the only dogma of Buddhism. If you even want to call it a dogma, it doesn't really qualify as a dogma, but I guess we could call it that. So as Buddhism evolved and the teachings began to spread from northern India and Nepal, Buddhism essentially evolved into three different branches. I'm going to share my screen here again, I hope. I affirm, screen two. We should be sharing now. And if somebody would please affirm that we are sharing.
No, not yet.
And we are sharing now.
Yes.
Hallelujah. Praise Buddha. Okay, going to our next slide. We have three branches or three divisions of Buddhism. We have the Theravedic Buddhist tradition, which is the oldest of the three. And Theravedic basically means the way of the elders. It's the oldest tradition. And it is believed within Buddhism that this is the best way to attain nirvana. To become a monk and to become a nun is how you enter into the Theravedic path. It involves intense periods of meditation. But, and this is important, they don't just sit and meditate. To be a monk or to be a nun means you are also of service. You meditate and then you go out and be of service. The Buddha was very much about meditation, being of service. So that was the oldest tradition of Buddhism. As time went on, quite a bit of time actually, and Buddhism spread down into the lower part of the subcontinent and began to spread into what is now Thailand and Cambodia and those places. The branch of Mahayana evolved. And this is more the educational branch of Buddhism. And by the way, you can be any or all of these branches as a Buddhist. You can move back and forth between them. You don't have to say, I am this one and only this one. Buddhism is not like that. Buddhism embraces wholeness. It embraces the Christ. It embraces Jesus. It embraces Muhammad. It embraces Krishna. It embraces all paths. Within the three divisions of Buddhism, you can embrace, incorporate, move back and forth, or whatever, all three. So in the Mahayana tradition teaches that we can help each other find enlightenment. In fact, that is our ultimate right livelihood, is to walk each other home. You've all seen that little cartoon, to help each other along our path. And it also says it is not necessary to first be a monk or a nun. You can be, but it is not necessary. This is also the path of the Bodhisattva. And the Bodhisattva says that no one reaches enlightenment until we all reach enlightenment. If there is anything that rings true in Buddhism for me, that's it right there, that we are all working on helping each other reach enlightenment. In this particular tradition, there is a story told about anybody who becomes what's called a bodhi or a Buddha. It's the same word. And that when you reach that state and you are standing at the gates of nirvana, you are given a choice. And that choice is you either may enter into nirvana or you may return and help everybody else reach the gates of nirvana. There's a little catch-22 here. And the catch-22 is if you say, I want to enter into nirvana, then that means you still have a little bit of ego to work on and you have to go back and start again. If you say, no, I am going to go back and help everyone get to this point, then you become what's called a bodhisattva, one who is a teacher, who is a leader. You've heard me talk about one of my favorite movies. Don't show it to your children. It's an adult movie. It's not rated X, but it's not for kids. In Europe, it was released as The Silent Flute. And I won't spoil the whole thing, but when the hero reaches the moment of enlightenment, he has a choice, the same choice to make. And I will not tell you what his choice was. You'll have to find out for yourselves if you can find the movie. Maybe when we get back together, we'll show it. But anyway, the third branch of Buddhism, Vajrayana, or what we call in the West Tibetan Buddhism, shares many of the teachings of the others. And it also believes that there are special ritualistic kind of practices that can harness spiritual energy and lead to nirvana in a single lifetime. This is the one branch of Buddhism that says you can be released from reincarnation and move directly to that point where you are standing at the gates of nirvana. This is the teaching, the school of Tibetan Buddhism that the Dalai Lama comes from. It's also called the Yellow Hat tradition. And those spiritual practices, by the way, are what we call yoga and martial arts and things like that, the physical disciplinary practices. So this is the school of the Dalai Lama. And I have a picture of him there. That picture was taken in Santa Fe, New Mexico. He left snow. It was a bitter cold day. I happened to be up in Santa Fe on that day to see him. And he decided he wanted to ride the chairlift to the top of the mountain, to the top of the ski slope, which, is 13,000 feet high in the dead of winter. And look at how they're dressed. And the one thing that I so love about Buddhists, nothing bothers them. They were joyful and in the moment. Even his, I don't know, I guess they're his version of Secret Service or something, but they're always around him, those guys in the suits. But look at them, they're having fun. So even when he was there to perform, they did a mandala in the Capitol, and he did a talk and lots of other things. And even in the midst of that, they find time to live life, to engage in life. But a little bit about His Holiness the Dalai Lama. It's a title. It is not his name. His name is Tenzing. And the title Dalai Lama was bestowed upon the leader of Tibet, the spiritual leader of Tibet, not the government leader of Tibet, by Mongol emperors who ruled that whole area from 1642 to 1792. And the word Dalai means ocean. Lama or Lama means teacher. So literally his title is Ocean Teacher. There have been other Dalai Lamas before him. I believe he is the 14th. And according to tradition, the 15th has already been born and is just kind of waiting in the wings, being schooled and trained. There's more than one Dalai Lama, by the way. Different schools have different Dalai Lamas. So that is His Holiness the Dalai Lama. So how does Buddhism compare to Christianity? What are the similarities? There are many books and writings that parallel the teachings of the Buddha with the teachings of the Christ. And by the way, it is the Buddha and the Christ. So I'm going to compare some of them for us. We know that in Luke, Jesus is quoted as saying, "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you." The Buddha said this, "Consider others as yourself." Jesus said, "If anyone strikes you on the cheek, offer the other cheek also." The Buddha said, "If anyone should give you a blow with his hand, with a stick, or with a knife, abandon any desire and utter no evil words and take no evil acts." Jesus said, "Truly I tell you, just as you did this to the least of these, you do it to me." The Buddha said, "If you do not tend to one another, then who is there to tend to you? Whoever would tend me, he should also tend the sick." Jesus said, "Put your sword back into its place, for all who take up the sword will perish by the sword." The Buddha said, "Abandon the taking of life, for all those who take up the sword will perish by the sword." Jesus said, "Those who want to save their life will lose it, and those who lose their life for my sake will save it." And the Buddha said, "With the relinquishing of all thought and egotism, life is let go. The enlightened one is liberated through not clinging." Jesus said, "Therefore go forth and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything that I have commanded you." That's from Matthew, and most scholars agree he probably didn't say it that way. Certainly did not say in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. But anyway, the Buddha said this, "Teach the Dharma, which is lovely at the beginning, lovely in the middle, lovely at the end. Explain with the spirit and the letter of the fashion of the Brahma. In this way, you will be completely fulfilled and wholly pure. You know, most scholars believe that in Aramaic, Jesus said this, "Go therefore and teach and make students of all peoples. Enlighten them in the name of the spirit of light within." Later on, it got changed to the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit because Jesus never really talked about the Trinity in the traditional Christian sense that you hear it. So those are some of only a few of the parallel sayings of Jesus and the Buddha. Was Jesus the reincarnation of the Buddha? Did that Christ light that we say is in all things just kind of shine forth extra bright in the Buddha and then extra bright in Jesus? Or is truth truth? Or all of the above? We don't know. And does it really matter? Truth is truth. These teachings are universal, and they can be used and accepted and practiced in all belief systems. What about Buddhism and unity? What do we have in common? We have a lot in common if you haven't already figured that out. I would also say this, many unity ministers are also Zen Buddhist monks. I was so blessed to have as one of my teachers throughout my early years of unity, still a great inspiration in my life, a man who is a Buddhist Zen monk, and at one point was the dean of Unity School. He's an ordained unity minister, Robert Brummett, teaches and really, really, really brought a lot of modern unity, Buddhist thought and practice into unity. Charles Fillmore, of course, studied it in depth, brought in the practice of meditation, the practice of affirmative prayer comes right out of Buddhism. Yoga is such a big part of unity. And a good percentage of unity people are vegetarians. Charles and Myrtle were vegetarian, not for health reasons, but for spiritual reasons. And I want to point out that neither Buddhism nor unity say you must be a vegetarian. It is a part of practice. Most Buddhists are what they would call themselves flexitarians. Because if you're in a monastery, of course, you are practicing asceticism at that point, and food is brought to you. And you are taught, and I know this because I was very closely aligned with a monastery in New Mexico, and some of my students grew up to join that monastery. And so when somebody brings you a bowl of food from the community, it may have meat in it. as a Buddhist, you don't say, oh, no, can't eat meat. I'm a vegetarian. That would not be the Buddhist way. The Buddhist way is to bless it, to honor whatever animal gave its life, to bless the person who brought you the gift, and then to eat it with gratitude. But vegetarianism is a practice within Buddhism. So what we come down to is, who's the Buddha? Who was this guy named Buddha? Well, we know it was not a who. It's you. You are the Buddha. There's an old saying, kind of tongue-in-cheek, that although I believe it was Nietzsche or Joseph Campbell, one of them, who said, if you meet the Buddha on the road, kill it. Which when I first heard that, I said, what? What it means is we are all the Buddha. And thus there cannot be anyone who says, I am the Buddha. Gautama would not have said it. Hudi would not have said it. Nobody would have said it. We are all the Buddha. You are. I am. We are Buddha. We are Christ. We are Krishna. We are the light of God expressing. And in truth, as the Muslims say, there is no God but God. So I am going to close us out of this with 2 videos. The first is an explanation of a Buddhist chant that you all know. Om Mani Padme Om. At a speech, His Holiness the Dalai Lama was asked by a young girl. She said, I've been saying this for years, and I've asked all my elders, what does it mean? And they can't tell me. She asked the Dalai Lama. You bet he had an answer. So here's the Dalai Lama explaining Om Mani Padme Hum. And then we will follow that with the chant.
I have always been speaking the prayer, Om Mani Padme Hum, but without actually knowing what it means. I have been asking this question to many of my elders, but I failed to get the answer. So, what does it mean?
Prayer and also recitation of mantra. Just to simply repeat the sound, not much help. Particularly Om Mani Padme Hum as one Buddhist mantra. So the whole Buddhist system is utilize human intelligence maximum way, through that way transform our emotion. That's Buddhist way of approach. The other tradition, most of these theistic religion, mainly through faith, through prayer to God, to Creator. It also immense powerful, wonderful thing. All major religious tradition, she carries same message or same practice. That's practice of love, compassion, forgiveness, tolerance, self-discipline, same. Then most of the theistic religions, you see, prayer is most important part. Buddha stated, you are your own master. Your future entirely depends on yourself. So, in Buddhism, Buddha taught study is very, very important. Knowledge is very important. In order to utilize human intelligence fully, we have to know how to use. And in order to utilize, you must know the mental function, mental system, these things, as I mentioned before. So, you pay more attention, study what is the Buddhist system. Then, with understanding about the whole system, transformation of our mind, with that sort of clear sort of today, full of knowledge, and ultimate aim, and sincere motivation, then carry recitation of this mantra is very useful. Clear? No? Om Mani Padme Hum. Of course, I don't know whether relevant explain here or not, I don't know. But you see the six syllables. Om Mani Padme Hum. So Om, that sort of mantra is common Buddhism and also many different Hinduism. Om. But here Buddhists explain Om here three letters are Oma. That represent our body, mind, speech. So there are actually two levels, body, speech, mind, impure level, that creates, that's the basis of suffering. So therefore, the experiencer, pains and pleasure, the body, mind, mainly body and mind, transform into pure, pleasant, ever pleasant body and mind. You see, the body, mind, and then automatically speech also. So that represent Om. Om represent impure level, impure part, and pure part. Now, how to transform impure part into pure? Right. Three impure, transform into pure three. Then money and padme. Money means jewel. Here, jewel meaning altruism, infinite altruism. Then Padma. Padma means wisdom. So, altruism and wisdom combine. That represents Hum. Hum carry meaning of combination. Altruism and wisdom combine. Through that way, that's the proper way, method to purify three impure in order to become pure three, body, speech, and mind. Clear? Like that.
And so there you have the story of Om Mani Padme Hum. Am I back on?
Yes.
Okay. I just wish I could tell. But I am not attached to that. So that is our exploration of Buddhism. Remember, you are a Buddha. We are all Buddhas. We are all bodhisattvas walking each other up to the gates of nirvana. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you so much. That was so interesting. You follow the Dalai Lama, you see him in the news, and it was so interesting about the name and so forth. And yeah, very, very helpful. Thank you. Thank you. So we are certainly grateful that you were with us today. If you're visiting us for the first time or just the second time, there's more where this came from. Check out our Unity of Joplin website, unityofjoplin.org. Check us out here on Facebook, and don't forget those evening check-in sessions Monday through Saturday nights at 8 p.m. here on Facebook and Zoom. That's another way just to get a flavor of what Unity is all about. And we invite you to join us each Sunday. And no matter where you live, where you are, you can always join us via Facebook and Zoom. We have the honor now of celebrating our children, both our younger kids as well as the child within. And Neely, I wasn't seeing Sam today. I hope he's doing okay. But we are blessing all of our kids. So join me, if you will, because they are our future. Children, you are a perfect child of God, and God and I love you just the way you are. And we do.
Yep.
We do.
Not yet.
So we'll join together now in our peace song and prayer of protection as we close out today's service. Don't forget, you're welcome to hang out a little bit afterwards if you have any questions or comments, or just want to share some more water or coffee with us. We'd love to hear how you're doing. And thank you again, Gordon.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, we are family. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
And our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. Amen.
Have a great week, everybody.
And you want to turn off record?
I will.
All right. Good. All right. And to everybody who watched on Facebook, hello, you all. I want to say hi to some of them, as many as I can see. Leo from New Mexico. Hi, Leo. Good to see you. Toddy. Whoops. They all just went away. Oh, no, they're back. I hit a wrong button. Gary. Hi, Gary. And I'm presuming Jerry's there too. Jefferson, Michael, Todd. Hi, Todd and Aaron. Sarah, hope you're feeling better. Of course, Michael, we see you, and Susie. Hi, Susie. Merlin, Kimberly Bowman, Jefferson, Marilyn George, Kimberly Bowman, Carolyn. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of you out there today. Neely, John. Hey, John. Michelle, Mary Sue. Hi, Mary Sue. Whew. Boy, a lot of people out there in Facebook land today.
Yeah, and I shared it on my page, and a few people from my friends list joined in and watched. They didn't. Yay. They checked it out.
And Novella was having technical problems and could not get on, so she'll have to watch it on the archive. So there was something I wanted to say to everybody, but I forget what it was. So it must not have been that important.
I'm thinking Sunday brunch.
Sunday brunch. We could all do a champagne brunch and have our champagne. Yes. That would be fun. Yep.
How's everybody doing?
It's really, this is Marilyn, and I was going to tell you, it's really interesting that I can see all the slides. They're great. I can't see any of the people. So keep those slides coming.
It must have something to do with, I don't know how many electrons it takes to show a slide. I don't know.
I don't know. It's weird. But yeah. I see the slides are good.
Yeah. Huh. That is strange.
I like that comparison of the three. That was really good to see.
Yeah. We don't have any Buddhist communities around here that I've ever come across.
Actually, I think we do.
Do we?
Years ago, I went to a meditation, and I think Jerry Ellen goes frequently. But it's just in a home.
Is it?
I'm
Yeah.
not sure what's going on with this.
Well, we can hear you, Kim. Kim, who said, I'm not sure that what's going on with this.
Yeah. We got double.
We hear
Kim
you.
vision.
Matter of fact, I see two of you. I see you on Zoom and I see you on Zoom. Two different places. I think you're on your phone and your computer.
Everywhere.
She's everywhere. She's everywhere.
Are you talking? Are you talking to me?
Yep.
Oh, I have no idea what's going on.
And you're echoing. You're on two different devices.
Well, I was trying to go on Facebook Live, and it connected me to Zoom.
Ah.
And I tried to get connected on Zoom, and my video wouldn't work. Oh, that sounds awful. But I can't hear anything on my computer.
Mute your computer though, because what's
is
happening is
wait,
one mic is feeding to the other one.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah. Technology, it's so much fun.
Well, I didn't meet up with the guys this past Wednesday, so I'm about to take off and go hang out with Gary and Jeff on. So y'all have a good Sunday.
Oh, by the way, I just got a text from Michael Woodruff that says there is a community in Springfield. There's a temple apparently in Springfield, a Buddhist temple. So Michael, if you're watching, I will check that out.
Right on. Well, y'all have a good Sunday.
You too, Michael.
Have a good day, Michael.
Bye.
Thank you.
It's so weird to be watching the Facebook feed and see it like 30 seconds behind.
Yeah.
It's just weird. It's like two different time warps or something.
Yeah.
You don't want to have sound from both of them. It doesn't work.
No,
I
it
figured
does
that
not.
out.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to have one or the other. Yeah.
It was a good lesson.
Thank you.
Yes,
Very
I
interesting.
really enjoyed that.
Next week we do Judaism.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And I know the
That would
guys
be
have
cool.
a Jewish song for us they're going to do.
Excellent.
All right.
Well, I'm going to say goodbye. I have
Me too.
gardening to do before it
Okay.
rains.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like we got 4 or 5 days of
See you
rain coming up.
later.
Bye, Marilyn. Have a good week.
Bye.
Oh, yes. Last
All-
chance.
Yeah. Yep. All right. I am going to jump off too. So good
Okay,
seeing you all.
guys.
I will see you Tuesday night
Tuesday
All right.
night.
or Monday night.
Have a good week, everybody.
Bye.
You too.
Bye.
And can you send me that recording?
Yeah, once it loads up,
Okay.
I'll send it to you.
Great. Because what we'll do is we'll take the one that's on Facebook off because it has all the before and after.
Yeah.
And then we'll put this one on the Facebook.
Okay.
Okay. All righty. Bye.
Bye.